Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. If you want to listen to this seminar in Spanish or English, please look for the icon at the bottom part of the screen and select the language in which you would like to listen to the seminar. If you are connected from a cell phone, you will find the option at the upper part of the screen. This seminar will be available in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Friends, I would like to give you a warm welcome. I would like to welcome all of you who have joined us today, Saturday, November the 7th. This seminar is dedicated to coaches and dictated by referees. A lot of times we make mistakes due to the lack of knowledge. Sometimes we don't know the rules and regulations and we don't know how to apply them. And that's why my friend suggested doing these kind of seminars. So we joined forces, the IWF Technical Committee, the Pan American Weightlifting Federation Committee, and our guests joining us today. In the name of the Pan American Weightlifting Federation, we welcome everyone watching this seminar today. We want to take our sport forward. We want to move forward, and we want more people to get to know it. Now, I would like to introduce our guests. First, Nico Vlad, Olympic champion, Vice President of the IWF, and President of the Technical Committee. We also have our dear friend Mohammed Jaloud, General Secretary of the IWF, and our dear friend and President of the IWF, Michael Irani. And now, allow me to give the floor to our friend Nico Vlad.
Thank you very much, Jose. Thank you to invite me for this seminar. Yes, I would like to welcome all of you for the seminar. Thank you very much. It was a really great pleasure to see once again Pan American Federation leading with IWF, leading to organize different seminars this year and also competition because next week we will have a competition organized by Pan Americans, practically by Peru, different seminars with IWF. So the Youth World Cup, it will start after tomorrow. I want to congratulate all of you. But in the meantime, as Jose mentioned, it's really necessary to have such as seminars to update the coaches with the rules and regulations because sometimes it's absolutely normal. It's a human mistakes. So the coaches they can do mistakes during the competition, and with kind of a seminar like this, we can update them and we can get together and to understand the rules and to avoid mistakes. So it's really nice to hear and see a lot of Pan American friends. Unfortunately, this year we did not see each other in person, but at least through to the technology we have opportunity to see each other and to communicate. I hope soon we will get together in real life so we can communicate, can see in a person. But since then, we get together. I wish you good luck to all of you, and I hope can see everyone stay safe. Maybe in next few months we will see in person in this case. Thank you, Jose, for taking the lead to organize this kind of competition. Sorry, the meetings in the seminars plus the competitions with the Pan American friends. Thank you to all the panelists, which we have like Italo, which is part of the technical Idaho technical with the Pan American friends, Maritza, and Triolo, which is also the chairman of the technical committee from Pan America. Thank you guys for supporting us, and also thank you for you to be active chairman of the and to move our sport forward. That's what we want. We want to be supporting us together, because only together we can succeed. Thank you once again. That's what we want. We want to be
Muchas gracias, Niku.
Thank you very much, Nico, for your words and your generosity and for being here with us. Now, allow me to give the word to our friend and General Secretary, Mohammed Jalil. Dear Jalil, you have the word.
Thank you so much,
Now,
Mr. Jose, the President of Pan American and Vice President of IWF and the Chairman of the Development Commission. First, I would like to thank you and thank all the lecturers here. That is mean if the President, Inter-President, Dr. Mike, and me, and Nico Vlad, three attend this seminar, attend with our friend American, and we are very respected. Pan-American, we are very respected. The leader, very respected the weightlifting family in Pan America. Also, I would like to thank Maritza because we have very good technical officer, Maritza, and Joseph, and Italo, all time in our in any competition, in international competition, even they participate and they are serious and they have good knowledge. Very for me, I'm so happy when I see this kind of lecture give in Spanish language to be reached to anyone in the Pan American coach or technical official. In my opinion, each coach must be understand the rules and regulation for for the competition. But no matter if the coach understand how make program for the training. For me, very important for coach, they know the rules because if they make any mistake, maybe the lifters is lost in competition. For this reason, I'm so happy if I see many coach to learn our constitution regulation and to make as a technical me to avoid very mistake and in this case to be very good coach the rules and very good technical official at the same time. Thank you so much, Mr. Jose, to give us this opportunity to listen to the seminar in Spanish and translate to I thank the translate to English and I hope everything will be perfect and development weightlifting in Pan American and I believe I'm proud that weightlifting in Pan American is a high level, even very respected from Pan American Council, and this is that mean weightlifting very important in Pan American. Thank you, Jose. Also, and I hope to, I wish to Pan American for a successful and development weightlifting in Pan American, and I believe.
Muchas gracias, querido amigo. Y ahora
Thank you, dear friend. And now, to start the event, we give the word to our friend and president of the IWF, Dr. Michael Young. Mike, you have the word.
Thank you very much
Thank
indeed,
you, dear
Jose.
friend.
And
Now,
you've made my job much easier
to
because
start the event,
Niku and the Mr. Jalud, our General Secretary, who both
to
told
our
me
friend and president
what
of the
the aim
IWF,
of this
Dr.
conference is today. It is to make all coaches aware of the rules so that you do not make mistakes because you are too late to putting them a new weight or whatever that happens.
To our friend and president of
But
the IWF,
why are we here? First of all, we're here for weight day. Why is weightlifting so amazing? Does it matter? We're not rules. And without coaches, you won't have lifters. So you're very much part of the organization. In fact, united, as Niku said, is so important. Unity is vital and openness. If we've got nothing to hide, we can open our books to whoever wants to look at them and see what's going on. This is something that we must learn. We've got to start. You're very much. I'm not saying that America does not, of course, in fact, all the Spanish speaking nations in the world, unity is vital. Liberia is very important to the world. We are global. We are weightlifting. We are the people in the world that teach and know about weightlifting, how to become balanced, how to lose the weight, how to united the Spanish speaking. Why you're doing it, not to get injured. It's very important because you can lift a big weight, but you're completely broken in the world. I wish you all so much luck because you're a fantastic organization. You were the ones, Pan America were the ones that first started the online competition. The IOC must have recognized this because others are doing it now as well. And this is such an unusual sport because we're doing it to the one-to-one. I mustn't forget the role that I have as a doctor, and I must tell you one thing here. Please, observe your national health, your country's advice on how to prevent COVID. Keep your distance from each other. Wear your masks, not the, I think, of course, wear your mask. Do not touch if you can. Wear gloves. Use alcohol spray for the bars. Very quickly, and get the lifters to use their own chalk. It's very simple. And in the interval, they can go and wash their hands with soap and water, which is very effective. So please remember all these things. They're very simple. Distance, use face and hand wash and keep clean, and mask if you can, and gloves for the loaders. I won't go on anymore, but I wish you all the very best, and thank you very much for organizing it, and thank you for inviting us all here tonight. Bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, Jose. Remember all these things. They're very simple. Distance, face, hand,
thank you, Mikey. Thank you, Mr. President, for being here with us, for your
I
words.
won't go on anymore, but I wish you all the very best, and thank you very much for organizing it, and thank you for inviting us all here
For
tonight.
reminding
Bless
us
you all.
not
Thank
only
you.
the
Thank you, Jose.
importance of what we're doing, but to always take care of us. Thank you, because we have a responsibility. We have to protect our athletes, and it's okay to remember that COVID started months ago, but we still have to take care. We have to take measures to stop people from getting COVID, and we have to repeat it constantly. Now, thank you. We thank our guests for being here at the beginning of this seminar. And now I give the word to our three professionals. The first presentation will be from our friend Maritza Ortiz from the Dominican Republic, which is a member from the Pan American Technical Committee. Thank you very much. Goodbye and keep watching. Thank you again.
Buenas tardes, señor José Quiñones.
Good evening, Mr. Jose Quiñones, President of the Pan American Weightlifting Federation, Mr. Nico Vlad, President of the IWF, and President of the Technical Committee. Good evening, Joseph Triolo, President of the Pan American Technical Committee, Italo Barattini, member of the IWF Technical Committee, It is an honor for me to be sharing this seminar with Mr. Barattini and Mr. Triolo. It is a very important seminar for coaches to know technical and rules and regulations. It is also an honor to be sharing with all the participants. Some of you may know me. I'm Maritza Ortiz from the Dominican Republic. We will be talking about two topics. The first one is the athlete's costume and chief marshal's duties. I want to thank the IWF and the Pan American Weightlifting Federation for considering me as a speaker. So let's begin the presentation. We're going to talk about the athlete's uniform. This is very important because we want our athletes to be well presented when they arrive to the competition. Please make sure your athletes wear the right uniform and make sure they're correctly dressed. Here are the topics. Questions. Where is compulsory? What is optional? Where is prohibited? Does that mean the rest is allowed? How many items can be worn? This afternoon we will answer these questions. So please, coaches, pay attention. Leaders and all participants, please pay attention. It is compulsory that the athlete wears a costume and sports footwear. As you can see, here's an example of the unitard. This is a blue one, but that does not mean you have to use the blue one. You can use any color. Optional. Athletes may wear any of the following. Unitard. I will talk about it later. I will explain. T-shirt, shorts, socks, belt, bandages, sticking plasters, tape, gloves, palm guards, undergarments, jewelry, hair adornments, religious headgear, and hats. You can wear any of these items. And as I said before, everything you see here on the list, you can wear. But we'll talk about it later, about some things you cannot wear. General rules. At competitions, athletes participate in the uniform clothing issued or approved by their member federation. What does this mean? It means the athlete can wear the uniform approved or issued by their federation. Now, they have to use the uniform the federation issues. But some athletes have their own uniforms made and ask their federations for approval. That is fine for this purpose. The ceremony, the victory ceremony, is part of the competition. This is important. Please, coaches, pay attention. Sometimes at the victory ceremony, the athletes want to get up the podium wearing whatever they want because they are through with the competition. But they, as the rules say, the victory ceremony is part of the competition. So that's the end. That's the end of the competition. So these athletes must go up the podium wearing their uniform and their shoes, the footwear. Some athletes want to go up the podium with carrying electronic devices, but that is not allowed. It's prohibited. They must not carry those to the podium. Medical equipment, it's an exception. So please, coaches, do not allow your athletes to use any of those devices because sometimes they want to go up the podium and take pictures. But please make sure they don't because it is not allowed. Now we have some general rules. This is important. And you might say, oh, I know this already. We know what the athlete must wear. But as coaches, some things escape our hands. We need to have the knowledge. The costume may be decorated or marked with the athlete's name, nickname, club name, member federation name, national emblem. It could be a flag, their national emblem, and the manufacturer's identification if it is considered by the athlete. They can decorate it as they like with the name, nickname. This is not prohibited. Athlete's uniform. Now we will talk about what is incorrect. That means if it is not on the list, then it is correct. Incorrect uniform. 2 or more pieces. We will talk about it later on. Worn with other costumes. With collar. You must not cover your elbows or knees. Cover the belt. Covered by a unitard t-shirt, altered by t-shirt or shorts, and altered by the unitard. This is what I was explaining before. You can see the unitard. Let's talk about what is incorrect. This is very important. Pay attention. Because I have seen many athletes wearing their unitard but not complying with the rules. This is what is incorrect. Altered by a t-shirt. As you can see, the unitard has to be worn under the mesh. The unitard cannot be worn with shorts or other unitard. This means you can not wear one on top of the other. You should not wear loose-fitting clothing. No t-shirts on top. Or with collar. With pattern or design. Designs must not be used on the unitard. They must be one color, unicolor. Worn without costume. This means you cannot wear the unitard by itself. Wear it with the singlet. It must be worn with the singlet, not by itself. Incorrect t-shirt. Worn with other t-shirts. With collar. Covers the elbows. This means short sleeves must be worn. It cannot cover the elbows. Or it cannot cover the costume. It cannot cover the singlet. Now, incorrect shorts. Worn with other pair of shorts. This means you cannot wear 2 shorts at the same time. Loose fitting. They must be tight fitting. and cannot cover the knees. And they must not be long. Here you have an example with the different short lengths. The belt. The belt is part of the uniform, the costume. Of course, it must be worn. It must be worn out on the outside of the costume. You see an example on the slide. First the singlet and then the belt. And the maximum width must be 12 centimeters. You can look it up. Go to Rule 441 and you will find it. You will find all information regarding the use of the belt for athletes. Please pay attention to this. Sometimes some athletes wear belts that do not comply with the rules. And right before they go to the platform, they get stopped by the technical controllers, and that causes delays in the competition. But the clock's still ticking. So the athlete must wear the right uniform. As I said before, the incorrect belt measures more than 12 centimeters wide and worn on the inside of the costume. I explained it before. The correct belt must be worn on the outside. And if you wear it incorrectly, the technical controller will ask the athlete to take it off. Incorrect bandages. Sometimes some athletes wear double bandages. So kneecap, bandages, protectors, they should not be used reinforced by the way of buckles, straps, whalebone, plastic or wire attached to the barbell. So bandages can be worn reaching 10 centimeters of elbow area. It cannot be attached to the barbell either. In the elbow area, bandages can be worn reaching 10 centimeters of the elbow area. You can wear it lower or higher, but not cover the elbow. Incorrect sticking plasters. This is very important. They are worn on the fingers, protruding in front of the fingertips. Here's an example. The sticking plasters cannot cover the fingertips. Fingertips cannot be covered at the time of the competition. If your fingers are covered before the competition, you should take them off. Sticking plaster must be worn on the 10 centimeters of elbow area, except when the competition doctor allows it to stop the bleeding. This is the only exception, the only moment this is allowed. Has to be clear. Please, coaches, pay attention. And let your athletes know when they can use sticking plasters. Only if the doctor allows it. Another incorrect way of using sticking plaster is if it covers the gloves or the palms. You cannot wear gloves on top of the sticking plasters. Incorrect tapes. Here we can see here what is not allowed. This is similar to the sticking plaster situation. It is incorrect to wear them on the fingers or thumb, protruding in front of the fingertips. It must not cover them. Attached to the barbell, worn on or reaching to the 10 centimeter area of the elbow. The elbow must be completely visible so the technical officials and referees can see the athlete at the time of the lift, and they can make sure the elbow extension is right. Tape tape cannot cover the gloves. If the athlete is wearing gloves, that cannot happen. Okay, let's see. This is the last slide for costume rules. Incorrect gloves or palm guards covers more than the first knuckle of the fingers. We can see a glove here. This is the incorrect glove to use because it covers the sticking plasters, the fingers. This glove will not allow us to observe the athlete's hand. These are custom rules that athletes must follow when competing. So I hope you coaches share this information with the athletes. And I am sure that from now on, your athletes will arrive to the competition wearing the right costume. They will arrive wearing the right costume. And the competition, I would say, would be more fun, and there wouldn't be any delays. Because sometimes athletes wear incorrect uniforms and we have to stop them to let them know, and they lose concentration, focus. So we recommend you coaches to inform and help your athletes. Sometimes athletes wear the incorrect costume, shorts, and that happens because they lack the knowledge. They need to know how to dress for the competition. So I'm going to talk about martial duties, and if you have any questions, please make them. The idea of this seminar is to learn more about technical regulations and have better competitions. So, dear coaches, please make questions. Make your questions. A person who asks questions will not be ignorant. Please send your questions. Thank you. Now we'll talk about martial duties. Let's continue with this second topic. What are the chief marshal's duties? To accept or refuse a modification made by the coaches on the attempt to be taken. What does this mean? This means the marshal has to accept the declaration of each of each attempt and the changes coaches make for the different attempts. That's one of their duties. To communicate the information to the competition management system operator about the requested attempts. As soon as the coaches make changes and sign the card, you have to verify the system operator received it. How? You look at the screen where the results are, and you will see, you make sure the information shows, because sometimes the information won't get to them due to the lack of communication. It doesn't show. So you have to look at the screen and say, oh, I can see the change. You are responsible for that. You have to make sure the operator received the information. Often, mistakes are made. The marshal may have many coaches around and could get confused. So please always look at the screen and look and to see if the information was sent. Verify it. At Olympic Games, Youth Games, World Championships, you have to know. At those events, referees must be category 1, and they are chosen by the IWF, and they must speak English. Now let's see. This is a very important part. Everything is important. Here's the marshal's best practice. This happens when changes are being made. The marshal and coaches must use different colored pens so there is no confusion. We have an example. The coach's pen is black and the marshal's pen is red. You can see it. It is very important to pay attention to the colors when you make changes on the card, so you don't use the same as the marshals. And if you only see a single colored pen on the marshal's table, let the marshal know. You have to tell them that they need a different colored pen to make the changes. This is very important. Now, right here, between the snatch and clean and jerk, this is so important. When you do the weigh-in process, during verification, you give a total. In this case, you have to apply the 20 kilo rule. You can use the red pen, a different kind of color. It has to be different, as you can see on the slide. You always use a dark pen, red or black. And remember, it has to be a dark color. Always pay attention to the 20 kilo rule. I will explain it later. Here you can see we have the rule. 140 kilograms. That was the weight, but the time of weigh-in. So as you can see here, the first attempt of the snatch 120, and the total was 280, which was given at the final verification. So you take the total from the first snatch and the first clean and jerk. You could say, no, mine finished at 120. No, the total comes from the first snatch and the clean and jerk. This athlete started with 140, but his coach changed it to 145. So you can see on the slide 120 and 140. The 20 kilo rule applies here. He started with 120, so he could go for 140 or increase for the clean and jerk. But he cannot decrease the number. Now, the chief marshal must check the change is valid or not by checking the other athlete's attempt. This is important. As coaches, you have to pay attention to the calling order. Whoever lifts first goes first. The first athlete lifts first for the second or third attempt. Now, let's look at the example. The first athlete lifted 155. The second one requested 160. But the third athlete requested 155 and he was called with 155. The second athlete asked or requested for a decrease in weight to 155. This isn't valid. And since the clock started for the third athlete, the second athlete cannot lower the weight, cannot decrease the weight. Pay attention because this can lead to confusion sometimes. Coaches, pay attention. After the clock starts for the third attempt and the second one wants to lower the weight, this must not be accepted by the marshal. I hope all of you coaches understand this. Now let's review. Remember the calling order. The weight of the barbell, lightest weight first. The number of the attempt, lowest number first. The sequence order of the previous attempt. The athlete who lifted earliest is first. And the start number of the athlete. Lowest always goes first. Even though the requested of change follows the calling order, this has been applied for the deadline of decreasing. When an athlete wants to decrease the weight, the clock must not have been started for the athlete. This means time is the main factor of the competition. You have to learn to play with time because if you lose time, the athlete misses an attempt. This athlete might be competing for a medal and he could lose it because of time. So what do you have to do then? Always look at the time. In order to decrease weight, the clock must not have started. Be very careful, be aware. Always look at the clock and the screen. And if you do these things, it will work out for you a lot better. The chief marshal must look at the timing clock when coaches of called athlete come to decrease or increase weight. This part right here is very important because this can lead to confusion too. The coach must declare before the first 30 seconds. The coach must declare before the first 30 seconds. Normal 1 minute for the first attempt. But you have to declare before and within the first 30 seconds to make sure you can make other changes in case you don't go with your first declaration. You must declare within the first 30 seconds and you will have the rest of the time to make changes. Successive attempts, 2 minutes. Declare within the first 30 seconds so you can make the rest of the changes. Within the first 30 seconds, change of weight. Always declare within the first 30 seconds. Always within the first 30 seconds to declare. Now, let's see. Successful attempt, 2 minutes. The coach must declare. The next way to the marshal and sign it. They have to declare within the first 30 seconds of the 2 minutes, even if it is an automatic weight increase. What does this mean? If you're called with the automatic weight, you have to declare within the 31st seconds. And if you don't want that weight, then you declare always within the first 30 seconds, even with the automatic increase. Please pay attention. Important remark. The timing apparatus will sound 2 times, at the first 30 seconds and at the last 30 seconds. We can see 2 minutes. It will sound at 1:30 and it will sound again before the last 30 seconds. If coach declared, they can change the weight 2 times until the last 30 seconds. The coach declared within the first 30 seconds. So that coach will have the opportunity to make the 2 changes left. But if he doesn't, he won't have any more opportunities. So you can declare. You can see here, if you declare, you will have 1 minute to make changes, the 2 changes. No change can be made after the last 30 seconds. If you haven't done it, you won't have any more time to do so. You won't have any more time. So, please know this information. You can just know this information so you can handle the situation and make changes. On the example, the coach declared 101 kilos for the second attempt and then changed to 105 for the second attempt. The first change was 107 for the second attempt. If you don't declare within the first 30 seconds, unfortunately, there won't be any other chance. Here's an example. An athlete succeeded 100 kilograms at the first attempt and wants to take 101 for the second attempt. It is not necessary for the athlete to declare for 101 because that is the automatic increase. On the athlete's card, if they are certain, they will take the attempt at 101 kilograms because their next attempt will be 101 kilos automatically. But if there is no declaration made within the first 30 seconds, the athlete must take the automatic weight, 101. If the athlete doesn't want to take 101, he can declare the weight and he or she can take it and it will be fine. Be aware, the automatic weight applies in the following: 1 kilo up after the good lift in the previous attempt. Same weight after no lift in the previous attempt. Be aware, I will explain with an example. Automatic weight. The athlete lifted 120 kilos. Automatic weight 121. But you don't want to take 121. What you have to do is go to the marshal's table, declare the weight your athlete will lift, and sign it. Now, if you don't do that, then the marshal will set the automatic increase to 130 kilos. This is optional. You can also increase the weight, but that is just optional. It's up to you as a coach. It's up to you as a coach to increase the number for your athletes. It's your choice. But remember that in case you didn't declare, the speaker will call you to repeat the attempt. The marshal can strike out any unused space on the card. After the 30 seconds, we've explained this already. We talked about it before. So, I explained it. Remember, if the coach did not declare, he has to repeat the 130 kilos. After 30 seconds, no one came to the marshal's table. What happens? They have to accept and lift this 130 kilos on the card. Do you understand? He must declare. Coaches, please pay attention. If you don't declare within the first 30 seconds, unfortunately, you have to take the automatic increase or try again if the first attempt was null. I was talking about the 20 kilo rule before. Always remember, the total weight of the starting attempts declared and actually taken in the snatch and clean and jerk must be equal or exceed the weight of the verified entry total minus 20 kilos. See, we have 85 for the snatch and 100 for the clean and jerk. Second, we have 75 kilograms for the snatch and 110 for the clean and jerk. Right? Because we're complying with the 20 kilo rule. And for the next one, we have 82 and 100. This is not valid. The 20 kilo rule does not apply here. So what coaches need to do is verify during the weigh-in. Ask the competition secretary or the officials about that information. So please make sure the clean and jerk and the snatch complies with the 20 kilo rule. Remember, the weight must be equal or exceed the number. But you can, if you want, increase for the snatch and decrease for the first clean and jerk, as long as the rule, the 20 kilo rule, applies. Here, you can see, please do not confuse. Entry total, 205. This is clear. Snatch, 85. Clean and jerk, 100. At weigh-in. You can see this here. He or she started with 85 for the snatch. Good, good, good. He or she decreases 5 kilograms for the first attempt. That cannot be done. They must not go up at 95. The weight cannot decrease because the 20 kilo rule does not apply. The athlete has to start with 100 for the clean and jerk. So the 20 kilo rule applies. The total must be calculated by each first attempt. First attempt for the snatch and the clean and jerk. Same thing happens during the clean and jerk. Okay. During the snatch, if the chief marshal notices the error in warm-up area, they should suggest to the athlete or coaches. If the chief marshal notices a change in the total, a mistake for the 20 kilo rule, if there's a mistake, he will communicate it. If you want to decrease for the first attempt of snatch, you have to increase for the first attempt of clean and jerk. He asks then, are you okay or not? Do you accept it? If the athlete or coach does not accept, the case is taken to the jury and they can make the decision to exclude the athlete from the competition. So please pay attention. It would be better to come to an agreement and follow the 20 kilo rule. Same thing during the clean and jerk. If the chief marshal and technical controller notices the error in the warm-up area, they should suggest the athlete or coaches. Same thing. They have to take the first attempt. The athlete has to go out with 100 kilos. Because he or she took the first attempt with 85 kilos for the snatch, so to follow the 20 kilo rule, he has to go out with 100 kilos. This has to be clear. Coaches, be careful. Because this happens. Same thing happens with the costume. You must be aware of this. The development of the competition depends on the coaches. So if you follow all these rules and regulations, the competition will be much, much better. Yes? Ay, ay, ay. When many coaches come to the table at the same time. Ay, ay, ay. Here. Coaches, what do you have to do? When there are many coaches at the table, the marshal is looking for pages and he could get confused. So you have to make sure you know which one is your athlete's card, so you don't make any mistakes. Because sometimes coaches don't look at the name on the card and signs another card. And that leads to trouble and some discussion about whose card and information that is. So as coaches, be aware of these. And you have to look at those cards carefully. You have to make sure you are signing the right card. You have to be aware of the card you're signing. Always remember that even though you get there first, the athlete that hasn't lifted for the longest time goes first. And now, That's it. You don't need to care who came to the table first. You have to be patient. You have to be patient. I ask you, coaches, to be patient at the time of the competition. I ask you, be patient. Patient because when there's harmony among the group and teams, the competition runs smoothly. Sometimes it runs so well that you say, "Wow, time flies." But what happened was there was organization. All the athletes are well dressed, wearing their costumes, and you know all the rules, and you know how to do the changes, then the competition runs smoothly. So now, checklist summary. This is the last part. Decisions must be made quick. Current weight 155. We explained this at the beginning. As I said before, the sequence of the competition. Number 2 requested 155, but what happens? Number 3 requested 157, but number 2 gets called with 155. The clock starts. The clock starts for number 2. Then number 3 wants to decrease the weight to 155. That is invalid because number 2 was called for 155. If the clock hadn't started for number 2, number 3 would have been called because he didn't lift for the longest time. So, in this case, when the clock hadn't started, number 3 gets his turn. But since the clock started, change won't be accepted for number 3 with 155. Let's remember that's the 20 kilo rule. If you know the time, the 20 kilo rule, and how to make changes, you will have a perfect competition and your athlete will be fine because he will stay focused on his or her job. Sometimes technical controllers stop athletes and they say, no, it's not your turn. And because it is not their time to go up. So listen to the calling order and make the right changes. Declare within the first 30 seconds. Declare within the first 30 seconds. If you don't, you won't have any more changes. Same thing with the automatic weight. If you don't declare, you will have to stay with the automatic increase. So please look at the clock. The clock is the soul of the competition. Time will tell you if you lose an attempt or not. Some coaches look at the clock, but others don't. You can share the responsibility. Some will look at the clock, others at the athlete. So pay attention. Pay attention to the time. And I can assure you that if you consider the rules, there will be no wasted time. And you will make your changes within the 31st seconds. You will apply the 20 kilo rule. And I am sure that from now on, You will do a better job at competitions. That this is all for now. I hope this helps you. This helps you in future competitions. Goodbye. Dear friends, what do you think? Brilliant presentation. Now let's receive a great friend, Italo Barattini, member of the technical committee of the IWF. Italo, you have the word. In this part of the presentation, we will analyze the timekeeper's role, and how his way of handling time and decisions can affect the technical controller's job. This way, you will understand why some situations happen. First of all, what happens when the movement starts? The timekeeper stops the clock as soon as the barbell is raised from the floor, according to Regulation 710.5. But what happens if the athlete puts the barbell back on the floor without reaching the height of the knees? The timekeeper restarts the clock. Therefore, the athlete has another opportunity to do the attempt again. However, if the barbell reaches the height of the knees, then it becomes an attempt. So, what kind of situations could we find? Referees must count as no lift any unfinished attempt in which the barbell has reached the height of the knees. As we said before. But if at the end of the allocated time, the athlete has not raised the barbell from the competition platform to make the attempt, this attempt is declared no lift by the three referees. In this case, it is okay if the barbell is raised from the platform, even for 1 centimeter, then the athlete accomplishes his attempt. Another case we may encounter. We know we have 1 minute for each regular attempt, if we can call it that way, but 2 minutes for the succession of lifts. But what happens when the athlete has a succession of lifts, but the calling order changes and the clock starts for another athlete? In this case, we'll explain it with an example. Athlete A will lift 100 kilos, and athlete B is waiting to lift 105. Athlete A, athlete A lifts 100, so automatically he will move to 101 kilogram and athlete 105. The clock is set for 2 minutes and started, but it turns out the athlete changes to 105. The order is reversed, and now athlete B will do the lift. And the next athlete will be athlete A with the same weight. The clock is set at 1 minute and started. We're talking about athlete B. And now athlete B changes to 107 kilograms. So the movement goes back to athlete A. So in these situations where athlete A goes back to 105 kilo and athlete B waits, the clock is set for 1 minute for athlete A. This situation occurs frequently, and we have to know what to do. Another situation occurs when the team official or athlete asks for a change of weight and still has to take the heavier weight next. The clock is stopped while the weight is changed. After the change of weight has been completed, the clock continues to run. We'll see an example. For example, you have athlete A with 100 kilos and athlete B with 105. Time starts, and at 40 seconds, coach goes to the marshal and signs for a 103-kilogram increase. The clock stops, the loaders are called, so they can change the weight, as you can see in the image. And athlete A goes for 103 kilos. How much time does he have left? Well, the clock must continue from 40 seconds. In this case, the clock does not go back to zero because it is the same attempt. Regarding referees' duties in relation to technical controllers, there are many things to talk about. Incorrect movements or O lifts, pulling from the hand. We'll see the definition. Touching the flat platform with any part of the body other than the feet. In this case, it is common that this will happen when the athlete touches the floor with his or her knees or the glutes. Some athletes are very flexible. In this case, the movement is not. Pause here in the extension of the arms. We know this by now. We will see we will see the definition in another slide. Finishing with a press out, bending and extending the elbows during the recovery. What we call lock when the arm is completely extended, but the arms for flex for a moment and extends back up. That movement is considered null. Leaving the competition platform or touching the area outside the competition platform. If the athlete fails to hold the bar in position inside the platform or has to step out in case of the um, athlete, in that case, if the athlete touches the outside of the platform with his or her foot, if the athlete touches the edge of the platform, but the heel is still supported, the movement is valid. The movement will be penalized if the athlete touches outside of the platform. The athlete can reach the edge of the platform. Fail to replace the barbell on the competition barbell. The athlete finishes the attempt, drops the barbell, and falls at the edge of the platform. And it gets off the platform. In this case, the movement is null. And just like in the other case of the athlete leaving the platform, it's the same. But if the disc can stop at the edge without leaving the platform, it is valid. Not facing the center referee at the beginning of the lift. This is a very unusual case. That the athlete won't face the referee when beginning the movement. But it could happen. That's why it is considered in the regulations. The athlete must be perfectly aligned with the center referee when beginning the movement. Releasing the barbell from an incomplete position. This is important, and we will explain it later. And the last one, touching the barbell with with footwear. This is a new rule, but pretends to penalize an unsporting attitude and not showing respect for the instrument, which is the barbell. The barbell is a friend, it's an athlete's friend. But the main point is that the footwear can be unclean and may get the barbell dirty and harm the athlete that is lifting and the next ones. It is important to know that the barbell consists of the bar and the discs. We use that term in English. So touching the bar and the discs with the footwear, leaning or pushing would be considered a no lift. Incorrect movements for the snatch, pause during the lifting of the barbell. There's no they have to extend their arm. There is no midpoint, and this is different from the clean and jerk where the detention is made. Regarding the clean, we sometimes call it double clean or dirty clean. First, or place the barbell on the chest if, for its final position. If we play with words, we can say barbell won't reach the final position and therefore will stop at an intermediate point and then reach the final position. Another situation, touching the thighs or knees with the elbows or upper arms. That will be penalized. Some athletes will end up with their elbows tucked, tucked in between the legs. This situation is very hard to identify and causes controversy sometimes. We have to be very careful, analyze it, and, and make sure that it happens to not release the athlete from the fault without being sure it happened. Sometimes the technical controllers have a privileged position and they can identify all the details. Regarding the jerk, there are two aspects. We will talk about oscillation later with more detail. The jerk regulation states any apparent effort to jerk which is not completed. Many times the athletes feel uncomfortable when they lift the barbell and they make some kind of movements that allows them to adjust and avoid getting hurt. This is sometimes is done before the jerk. What you need to know and understand is that the effort to jerk will be penalized and is made obvious when this is different from trying to make some adjustments. Regarding what we mentioned before, it is important to have clear definitions. What is pulling from the hand? Stopping the upward movement of the barbell during the pull. This applies to the snatch and the clean and jerk. The athlete raises the barbell and stops at some point. The stop can be short but evident, and it continues. This could happen under or over the height of the knees. It doesn't matter where it happens, it will be penalized. Continue the extension of the arms after the athlete has reached the lowest point of his or her position of the squat or split both the snatch and the jerk. So the extension of the arm after the athlete has reached the lowest point of his or her position in the squat or split both at the snatch and clean and jerk. The feet are in position but the arms are still moving. This is considered a press out. During the execution, the marshal must press after the incorrect movement. This isn't rare or abnormal. This is part of the regulation. If no leads, the sooner it stops the lift, the better to save the athlete's energy. Therefore, there is no point in waiting for the athlete to finish the lift. If you see any fall, like an elbow touching during the clean, and you allow him or her to recover and finish the jerk, and it turns into their fault, and it leads to confusion, and it causes the athlete to overwork for something that could have been said before. So the instruction is to reverse the press out the to referee to press the red immediately. Oscillation. The athlete must become motionless before starting the jerk. If the athlete is shaking or moving the arms, then the movement must be null. So we have to be clear. So the athlete is trying to take advantage while during the movement, and it's not the barbell's movement, natural movement. So that movement cannot be stopped. So we have to separate and make a difference between the natural oscillation of the barbell and the movement caused by the athlete with the intention of taking advantage. If the athlete is motionless and the barbell is oscillating, no problem. The problem occurs when the athlete is doing it intentionally. Incomplete movements or position. We will talk about it later. Uneven or incomplete extension of the arms at the completion of the lift. Failing to finish with the feet and the barbell in line and parallel to the plane of the trunk. We'll talk about it later. Failing to fully extend the knees at the completion of the lift. If the athlete lowers the barbell with this incomplete position, it's a no lift. So the referees must press red. Regarding the completion of the movement, as we said before, a movement is considered final after so after some rules are met. One of them is arms and legs fully extended. What do we see here? If you look at the image, you can see that the elbows are fully extended, but the knees aren't. So, what is the referee going to do in this case? Just wait until the legs are fully extended to meet the final position. Another condition, feet and barbell in line. In this case, if we look at it quickly, we might say yes, that they are in line. But if we detail the image, we will see that the feet and barbell are not in line. One foot is in front of the other. Therefore, the referee must wait until the movement is complete. Another condition, feet and barbell parallel to the plane of the trunk. In this case, the athlete's body is turned to the side. So the referee must wait. Another position that needs to be met, the athlete must become motionless and wait for the signal so he can lower the barbell. The left image shows the athlete still rotating, and the right image shows the athlete is still walking. The referee must wait for the completion of the movement according to the rules. The athlete must become motionless. This is very relevant, a relevant matter. Completion of each lift is the athlete's sole responsibility. Rule 248. This is stated in the regulations. So, what could happen if regulations are not met? When two referees press Y, if the athlete has not attained the final position and the athlete lowers the barbell, the referee that has seen the mistake must press red. And what happens? You will see the signal with two reds and one white. If jury members agree that the athlete lowered the bar without completing the movement, the decision will be reversed, going from white to red, and therefore the athlete will lose one movement. So what is important that the athlete will assume the responsibility for doing the movement. The referees must have to make sure the lift gets completed, but it's the athlete's responsibility. This part concerns the technical officials directly. So well coached athletes still try to attain the final motionless position after two referees press white. This means the down signal went off, but the athlete knows his position. He knows or she knows that his feet are in front of the other, one foot is in front of the other. Then he fixes the position and lowers the barbell. That way, the referee that pressed red will press white. And of course, referees must know that if the athlete attained the final position, they have to press white immediately. This isn't about punishing the athlete and making him or her hold the weight for a longer period of time, but they do have to attain final motionless position according to the regulations. This way, all athletes will have the same opportunities. If you accept stuff from one athlete, you will have to accept it for others, and this situation turns unmanageable. This is not about referees being too demanding, they just have to follow the rules. Another situation, something that happens when there are big crowds and loud audiences, the horn in the light system is set off because the athlete finished the lift, but the athlete cannot hear. In this case, the center referee gives an audible and visible down signal. However, there's another situation in which the light system fails. The horn did not um, set off. For some reason, the system didn't work. The red or white lights did not turn on. They didn't activate. The center referee cannot make a decision by himself because he needs confirmation from the other referees. So he asks for the side referee's confirmation, and these two referees must cooperate with the situation and make a gesture, and to they all have to agree to make the decision. This is the last slide. The referees have the power to change their decision. This happens when the athlete completed his or her final position. The referees give the down signal, and then the athlete makes a mistake, like lowering the barbell behind him or her. The lift was perfect, but by the time he or she lowers the barbell, it is not. Maybe he or she lowers the barbell from above the shoulders. Failure to replace the complete barbell on the competition platform. As you can see in the image on the left side, as we talked about it before. In any of these cases, the referee that gave white because the athlete completed the lift, he will have to change his decision, and he can do it because he has 3 seconds to make changes. It could be by pushing the red button or raising the flag in case the light system didn't work. Thank you. And now let's welcome our dear friend, President of the Technical Committee of the Pan American Weightlifting Federation and referee Joseph Joe Triolo. The floor is yours.
Those two meetings are the verification final entries meeting and the technical conference. And note, for online competitions, the verification of final entries, which allows athletes to modify their body weight category and entry totals, will be allowed online by email until a specified date and specified time in the time zone of the host nation. Now let's move on to a live event. Prior to the technical conference, a verification of final entries meeting will take place. At the verification of final entries meeting, a copy of each participant's athlete's air passport must be presented by the relevant team official. At the verification of final entries meeting, each participating team will receive a verification form on which they are requested and or eligible to do the following. Correct the spelling of the athlete's name. Correct the athlete's date of birth. And the next two may prove to be very important. Modify, that is change the athlete's body weight category and or modify, that is change the athlete's entry total. Reasons for this possibly being that after reviewing the preliminary start list, your competition strategy may have changed. You may now find it necessary or beneficial to move an athlete into a different body weight category, or you may need to correct an error on the start list, or it is now necessary to lower an athlete's entry total, possibly due to the athlete's training not going well prior to the event, or a recent injury to the athlete, or perhaps you want to increase the athlete's entry total. You have now realized that an increase in the entry total will move your athlete into Group A. Remember that if two or more athletes have the same entry total, athletes may then be allocated into different groups according to their lot number. Athletes with a lower lot number will be assigned to Group A, and those with a higher lot number into Group B. A higher entry total could then make the difference. Also, you cannot substitute athletes. Note, exception being, you can use reserve athletes that were entered in advance. Also note, please, that data on the final entry is considered final and binding for the delegations not attending the verification of final entries meeting. And athlete lot numbers will be assigned after the verification of final entries meeting. One quick note about the technical conference. Prior to the start of the event, the technical conference will take place. Here, participating teams and other parties concerned shall receive comprehensive information about the event. The following information may be included but not limited to bus and shuttle schedule to and from the venue, location of the competition weigh-in room, location of check scales, location of sauna, There will be a waiting area, and posted at the entrance to the weigh-in room will be the group start list. This is so athletes and team officials will know the order of the weigh-in. Go to the next slide. Be careful of the order of the weigh-in. Okay. It's important to be on time. Very important to be on time. If the athlete is absent when called, the athlete is then moved to the end of the weigh-in. Here we have athlete B could not make weight. Athlete B departs the weigh-in room. Athlete C, absent when called, will now have to go to the end of the sequence. Athlete B, upon returning, can then take their place anywhere in line. It's important to understand that athlete C will have to wait to the end of the sequence entirely. If two groups are waiting together, if two bodyweight categories are waiting in the same group, athletes in the lower bodyweight category will go first. But athlete C, not being there for the start of the sequence, will go to the end of the weigh-in. Athletes will be called into the weigh-in room one at a time. Only one team official will accompany the athlete into the weigh-in. Athletes will need to show their passport and accreditation. For domestic athletes, in place of a passport, an English language identity card that includes their date of birth can be used. During the weigh-in, for the actual weighing of the athlete can step on a scale completely undressed or in undergarments. No costume, unitard, t-shirt can be worn. Athletes must not wear socks. Athletes are entitled to wear jewelry, hair adornments, and religious headgear. But they must not wear watches. It is important for a coach to know if and what the athletes are wearing when they step on the scale. An athlete's body weight may be slightly over the weight limit for the category because he or she chose to wear jewelry or undergarments while stepping on the scale. The coach can suggest the removal of undergarments or jewelry. Coaches should note it is prohibited for technical officials to advise the athlete. Here is an example of the athlete's card. After all athletes have completed the weigh-in, a start number will be assigned. We will talk more about the assignment of the start number during bib distribution. On the athlete's card, one of the technical officials will record the athlete's body weight. Then a team official or the athlete must sign the athlete's card to confirm the athlete's body weight and to declare starting attempts in both the snatch and clean and jerk with reference to the 20-kilo rule for first attempts. Signatures confirming body weight will go in those places. Here you see where the snatch and the clean and jerk will be entered for first attempts. After the athlete has weighed in within the officially entered body weight category, the athlete is provided with an athlete pass and a challenge card. Challenge card, made of hard paper, shall indicate on the card the lot number or the next three: the gender, body weight category, and group of the athlete, all in large letters readable from a distance. Color and text shall match the athlete's pass of the group. Warm-up pass distribution for coaches and team officials. For each team, a team having just one athlete in the group, 3 warm-up passes will be provided. 2 athletes in a group, 1 additional warm-up pass. For events with combined categories, any additional athlete in the group will receive 2 warm-up passes per athlete. As you can see here, 3 for the first athlete, 1 additional pass for the second athlete. The third and fourth athlete each receive 2. This is an example of the athlete's bib. And on the bib will be the athlete's start number. The start number will be assigned at the end of the weigh-in. At the weigh-in, the competition secretary can assign the athlete a start number and begin to bib distribution as long as there is no disruption to the order of the weigh-in. If an athlete fails to make weight, or if an athlete is absent when called to weigh in, then the assignment of start numbers and bib distribution will need to take place after the conclusion of the weigh-in. As you see here, lot number 3, lot 21, and lot number 55 were on time for the weigh-in and all weighed in within the category. You can give them their bibs. Athlete D, with lot number 79, was overweight and would have to leave. Athlete bib distribution and athlete start numbers would then have to wait. When this happens, the rest of the bibs should be distributed in a warm-up room no later than 30 minutes prior to the introduction of athletes. Prior to the start of introduction of athletes, and the introduction of athletes is the official beginning of the competition. Also, at the conclusion of the weigh-in, the competition secretary will allocate warm-up platforms in accordance with the athlete's start number. In a situation where there is more than 1 athlete per nation competing in the same group, or the number of athletes is more than the number of warm-up platforms, the technical controller and the technical delegate will allocate the warm-up platforms with flexibility. The athlete will also be informed on what side of the body to wear their bib. We will discuss more about the technical controller later in the presentation. Okay, great. Going to discuss a little bit about the technical controller. The technical controller, several minutes before the introduction of athletes, will begin to line up the athletes for their introduction. The competition officially begins with the introduction of athletes. And after the athletes are introduced, there will be a 10-minute clock, which will begin, and after it reaches 0, the first athlete will be called to compete. When the first athlete is called, the athlete may go up on the stage, and he or she is permitted to go up on a platform even if the loaders are loading the barbell. Coaches are not allowed up on the stage. Athletes cannot go up on the stage before they are called. Once they are called, they are permitted once again onto the stage and onto the platform, even if the loaders are still in the process of loading the barbell. Also, technical controllers ensure the safety of the athletes. They must stop team officials from going up on the stage when athletes suffer an injury. Only the competition doctor can touch the athletes in case of an injury. The jury will stop all actions until the competition doctor finishes their examination on the platform. And only by order of the competition doctor may technical officials or team officials help the injured athlete. Why? To prevent further injury of the athlete. For this reason, technical controllers must stop team officials from going up on stage. Please understand, for the safety of the athlete, this must be done. You don't want to create a further injury to the athlete. God forbid they have hurt their back or their neck. It's important that only the doctor handle the athlete until the examination is completed. At the conclusion of the category, the technical controller will make sure that the medal winners are lined up and that the medal winners cannot take electronic devices onto the podium. Medal winners cannot take electronic devices and they cannot be accompanied by other persons. And any participants of the victory ceremony must not use it for political, racial, or religious demonstration. Video playback technology. Events where video playback technology is used. Video playback technology has two possibilities. The jury starts a video playback technology review, or the team of the athlete that had just taken an attempt challenges the referee's decision for that particular attempt. In this case of challenge, technical controller must stop the clock immediately. The technical controller must check the validity of the video playback technology, and they must do it quickly. The technical controller will then stop the clock and inform the competition speaker. The technical controller will deliver the card to the jury. Before the clock is started for the next attempt, the next athlete, the decision must be quick. So to start the video playback technology, before the timing clock is started for the next attempt, or the next athlete has not been called or appears on stage, whichever is last. This means the next athlete hasn't been called yet. The athlete has been called, but the clock hasn't been started yet. This means you can challenge. The clock has been started, but the athlete is not on the stage. You can challenge. The athlete was called. The athlete's on the stage, but the clock hasn't been started because of the loaders still on the platform. You can challenge. Now, when is it too late to challenge? The next athlete has been called. The clock has started and the athlete is on the stage. And it is too late to challenge. Procedure for the jury to start video playback technology. The jury, at its own discretion, may initiate the video playback technology process when the majority of the jury's opinion is different from the referee's decision. To reverse the referee's decision after video playback technology replay, only a majority is required among the jury members. There is no limit to the number of replays the jury will use to make their decision, but we would like the jury to make their decision as quick as possible. Challenge procedure for a team to submit for technical officials to act accordingly. For a team to submit the challenge card, remember, you cannot challenge other athletes' attempts. You can only challenge for your own athlete. You must first submit the challenge card to the nearest technical controller. The technical controller checks the validity of the challenge and that it is an on-time submission. The technical controller immediately stops the competition. The technical controller informs the speaker and the technology and information system operator. The technical controller brings the challenge card to the jury and informs the jury who challenged. The technical controller controls the next athlete so they do not go up on stage. Tips for coaches. Coaches, for this reason, always pay attention to the decision of the jury's reaction. Be ready to challenge. If you submit the challenge, wait for the jury's decision and in a nearby coach's zone or in a warm-up area. It is important to note you will waste the challenge if the jury initiated video playback technology and upheld the referee's decision of no lift. Or the jury, on its own discretion, initiated video playback technology and reversed the referee's decision from good lift to no lift. It would then be a waste to submit your challenge. The jury shall not change its decision after its use of video playback technology. And coaches, as an extra note, when your athlete is competing in an online competition, it may prove valuable to record your athlete's attempts. If for some reason an attempt for your athlete was adjudicated as no lift, and it was the possible fault of the competition management's technology system, having a recording of that attempt may help reverse the referee's decision. Our goal as the competition management and technical officials is fair play for all athletes and coaches. Thank you.
We have come to the end of this important seminar called Technical Rules for Coaches, which has been organized by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation and the IWF. We want to give special thanks to Joseph Triolo from the United States, President of the Technical Committee of the Pan American Federation. Also, to our experienced international technical official, Maritza Ortiz, and member of the IWF Technical Committee, Italo Barattini from Chile. We hope to continue doing these kind of events for the sake of weightlifting in the continent. And we would like to invite you to the Sub-17 World Championship that will take place in Lima this November. You are all invited to this special event. We would like to keep having and doing this kind of activities in spite of the recent COVID situation, and in the name of the Pan American Weightlifting Federation and the IWF, we would like to thank all of you for being here, and we'll see you at another opportunity.